Well, I guess it's time for, I guess, one of my last overreactions from week one of the 2022 college football season. An amazing week one. Everything's kind of running a day or two behind this week in terms of when I normally get videos out because we had games on Sunday and Monday. So I still have my updated top 25 coming hopefully today. But I had to get this off my chest here. Spencer Rattler's the worst quarterback in the SEC. I have listened to South Carolina fans for the last 8, 9, 10 months prop up Spencer Rattler. I sort of was in a wait-and-see mode with that. I even remember saying a couple of times, I don't blame South Carolina fans for being so excited. This is one of the highest-rated players they've ever had, maybe the highest-rated QB they have ever had in terms of high school recruiting ranking or whatever. Now, I know that doesn't always mean a player is going to be good, but still, it's usually a pretty good indication of potential or ceiling or whatever. But my God, it was not good at all for Spencer Rattler. I remember Spencer Rattler giving a quote when he came to South Carolina about Oklahoma, saying the environment was toxic. A lot of people think one of the reasons the environment was toxic was because of Spencer Rattler. I'm not saying there's anything toxic going on at South Carolina. Everything I've heard out of South Carolina as far as the locker room and the relationship between players and the coaching staff and all that has been all positive. But man, a few more performances like that from Spencer Rattler, and I don't know how long that's going to remain the case here. And he was just awful. I mean, there's just no other way to describe it. You say, they won 35-14. Yeah, they were up by like 2 points at halftime. It was like 12-10 at halftime or something like that. And then in the third quarter, South Carolina blocked 2 punts that were returned for touchdowns. That's 14 points. You take those blocked punts away, and listen, maybe South Carolina's plan is to return 2 blocked punts per week for a touchdown. And if it is, salute. But it's hard to account for that on a weekly basis. You take those 2 blocked punts for touchdowns away, and this is a 21-14 game over a not good Georgia State team. And Spencer Rattler is part of the reason why. Now, he's not the only reason why. South Carolina's offensive line is terrible. It's horrible. And this is something that really anybody could have known had they taken some time to look into it. I remember when I did my South Carolina prediction video, and before I go through the game-by-game part, I kind of talk a little bit about the offense and the defense. And when I talked about the South Carolina offense, I said they had one of, if not the worst offensive lines in the SEC last year. And they bring all 5 of those guys back. So, is that good or bad? I guess it's good because they have another year of experience, but they're all terrible. They're terrible again. In that same video, I talked about South Carolina's running backs from last year and how they weren't very good. And everybody in the comment section blamed it on all the South Carolina fans blamed it on the offensive line. And you'll see this year Marshawn Lloyd this, Marshawn Lloyd that. I said, look, great, Marshawn Lloyd, okay. But if the offensive line is terrible, what good's it going to do? Well, Marshawn Lloyd comes out and runs for like 2 yards a carry. South Carolina as a team ran for 2 yards a carry in this game, 2.5 yards a carry in this game against Georgia State. Now here they are blaming the offensive line. Well, Uncle Lou tried to tell you that months ago when I did this South Carolina prediction. But just listen to these numbers from Spencer. Look, this is an opinion channel, so I rarely like to quote actual stats or anything like that. I like to just watch the games and then just draw conclusions based off what I see. But in this case, because everybody's going to go, he's not the worst quarterback in the... Okay, he's not. All right, here's the total QBR rankings for every SEC quarterback through week one. At the top of the list, you got people like Stetson Bennett and Bryce Young. Stetson Bennett had a QBR of 97.3. I'm looking at the computer right now. Bryce Young was second with a 96. Anthony Richardson, 94.8. That was everybody in the 90s. Then you got several people in the 80s, several people in the 70s. And then you've got some piles of absolute doo-doo, okay? You've got Haynes King, Texas A&M, the 11th worst QBR in the SEC through week one, 49.0. Another team that I watched play on Saturday in the first half said, you know what, this offense is not very good, and Haynes King's part of the reason why. Will Levis at 12. I thought Will Levis was a first-round draft pick. 46. His QBR was a 46. You're talking about less than half of the top quarterbacks in the SEC who are in the 90s. Pitiful. At 13, TJ Finley. TJ Finley can't complete a pass if his life depended on it. He's 13th. At 43, 43. So TJ Finley is the next to the worst last, next to the next to the last worst. TJ Finley has a QBR of 43 through week 1, which would put him at 13th in the SEC. Guess who's 14th? Spencer Rattler. Now, TJ Finley, QBR 43, that's next to the worst. Spencer Rattler, 28. 28. Not even close to being the next to the worst quarterback. He's by far the worst quarterback. Here's his stat line. 23 of 37. Okay, that's not horrible, but it's nowhere near the upper end of college football in terms of completion percentage. 227 yards, an average of 6.1 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Now, look, he had more yards passing than Anthony Richardson. Some people might be about to point that out. Yes, but Anthony Richardson had well over 100 yards running. You say, well, Spencer Rattler can run around too. I've seen him do it. Okay, well, let me check. In fact, let me wipe my damn glasses off to make sure I can see this right. Here. I'm wiping my glasses off. Make sure I read this correctly. Spencer Rattler, the runaround QB. Don't worry about the passing yards, Lou. Let me check this here. What does that say? Oh, my God. 4 carries for negative 12 yards for Spencer Rattler. Absolute doo-doo. Absolute doo-doo. Oh, it's week 1. Okay, he had 9 months. Was it not week 1 for Stetson Bennett? Was it not week 1 for Bryce Young? For Anthony Richardson? What about Jaden Daniels, LSU, 84 QBR? Will Rogers, Mississippi State, 82. KJ Jefferson, Arkansas, 81. Was it not week 1 for them? Was it not week 1 for them? The only person on that list I just named that was rated higher coming out of high school than Spencer Rattler is Bryce Young. That's it. Spencer Rattler's rated higher than everybody else. Dead last in the SEC through week 1 against Georgia State. Stetson Bennett's on top against Oregon. You're going to sit here and tell me Georgia State's better than Oregon? Stop it. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself. And guess who South Carolina plays in the next 2 weeks? Here's a hint. It ain't Georgia State. This coming up week, they travel. They go on the road to take on the Hog. Giant L on deck. Giant L coming. Guess what? Who you got to play after that? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. If you thought the Oregon game was bad, tune into that massacre that's going to be broadcast on live TV, not this weekend, but the following weekend at Williams-Brice Trailer Park in Columbia, South Carolina. Through the first week of the 2022 college football season, the worst quarterback in the SEC, none other than the South Carolina Gamecocks, Spencer Rattler. Cock commander on this.